is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, let's roll. It's Live Bet Sunday. This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Welcome into the program. Dustin, Swedelson, Will Hill taking you through for the next 3 hours as we have a wild afternoon of sports coverage for you here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Look, the NBA playoffs, they're ongoing. We have a game currently going on, one in the books, a couple yet to start. We'll preview them, we'll tackle them, we'll get you in-game numbers and everything going on there in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Some action currently going on, some yet to come in Major League Baseball. You know, it's a Sunday, it's getaway day. All these teams playing around, and we still have one game yet to go on during our window here, and then, of course, Sunday Night Baseball and the second game of the Rockies-Nationals doubleheader. So a lot to get to over the course of the next 3 hours. We appreciate you making us a part of your day wherever you may be, however you may be listening to VSiN, whether that's YouTube TV, the VSiN Watch app, or, of course, SiriusXM channel 158. Updates on where we stand right now with all the action currently ongoing in the NBA playoffs. Just under 2 minutes to go in the first. Celtics lead the Magic 21-16. Right now, Boston's laying 13.5. That totals 196.5. It closed Celtics minus 12.5. Total was 205. So the total has dropped down a bunch. Boston just a point stronger as a favorite right now in game there. When it comes to hockey, I want to get you an update because we're at the first intermission in Carolina. Hurricanes up 1-0 on the Devils, can currently get plus 325 if you believe New Jersey can make this a game, minus 475 on that money line when it comes to the Canes, and that total, which closed at 5.5, is currently 4.5. I'm contemplating an in-game under there. We can discuss that as we go on through the day. And then, of course, tons of Major League Baseball going around right now. We have a lot of games in action. The New York Yankees with a sticky situation right now down in Tampa in their own ballpark for spring training, Will. They are up 3-0. However, they have 2 runners on, and it looks like they're going to get out of it unscathed and now go into the 9th, I believe, with a 3-0 lead. Let me welcome in my partner. He is Will Hill. He is a big Yankee fan. Level of concern for you there with Fernando Cruz on the bump and 2 runners on.
Not much. He's been really, really good. He's been at one of these Matt Blake reclamation projects, the pitching coach for the Yankees. You go to his baseball savant, you see a lot of red, weak contact, chases, swings and misses. He's got good stuff, like 12 Ks per 9 innings. So the problem is the guy that comes in the 9th inning. That guy's been the problem. And I said this a lot during the winter when they made this trade. Kickers are a lot like closers, and we've seen kickers miss big kicks in playoff games. Blair Walsh, Mike Vanderjagt, and just never be the same when it gets your team eliminated. That Devin Williams home run he allowed to Pete Alonso in the playoffs to go from advancing and winning that little 2 out of 3 series and going to play the Phillies and losing and being eliminated. You wonder if that just breaks his confidence, his psyche. His closer is such a psychological position, and it's carried over. He has not pitched well. Now, who knows if that's the case? Maybe, small sample size, he's tipping his pitches, whatever the case may be. We're not going to know, but it wasn't just yesterday where he was spotted as a 4-run lead. It's been pretty much every time out. A lot of traffic, working his way in and out of jams. So we'll see if they go to him in the 9th. My guess is they would go Weaver and just give him a day to breathe. Say, I threw a lot of pitches yesterday. Let's just let him catch his breath. But that's an issue for a Yankee team that's actually played better than I expected. The bullpen, other than Williams, has been good. The lineup has been good. Judge is just on another planet. The starting pitching's been good enough. And it's an American League that's very, very watered down. Most of the good teams in the league are in the National League. Yeah, and on the Devin Williams, Pete Alonso play, can you ever remember like one moment in a game, in any sport, where one player's career went this way after it and the other one went this way after this? Good point. Pete Alonso, since that, has looked like the Pete Alonso of old. So he got that contract from the Mets in the offseason, but he still has an opt-out. He's hitting .351. He's got 6 homers. He's slugging over 1,000. It looks like the old Pete Alonso where the power's back. Meanwhile, Devin Williams just has struggled so much. But I agree with you on the Yankees. Really pleasant surprise. I know they're the favorite in the division, but we were all looking for ways to fade them once Cole went down, and they've just kind of patched it together. The problem I always have with the Yankees, though, is you mentioned Aaron Judge. You just never know if he's going to get hurt. Now, he stayed healthy, the last couple of years. But if he goes down, is there enough in the rest of that lineup to carry things without his bat there in the middle? It's better the lineup is than it's been in past years, but no. And that was 2 years ago. Remember, and he's had injuries on and off throughout his career. Obliques and hit by pitch, a lot of different things. But 2 years ago was the toe, and that was the year they didn't have Soto. They didn't really have much, and once he went out, they were basically one of the 5 worst lineups in the league. So I don't think they'd be that bad this year. And knock on wood, he stays healthy. But that was a big handicap for me. I played under 49.5 homers because first of all, I didn't think teams would pitch to him, and I still think these teams are crazy to pitch to him as much as they do. We were doing the show the other night. They were playing, was it the Royals? I think like Tuesday or Wednesday night. Tie game, 8th inning, nobody on base. They pitch to him, they give up a homer, they lose 4-3. It makes no sense to me, but yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on for sure.
It's Live Bet Sunday, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Will Hill, I'm Dustin Swedelson. We do have a baseball game about to start in a couple minutes here. San Francisco Giants at the Angels, Will. Verlander versus Kikuchi. Minus 105 on the Giants and Verlander, minus 115 on the Angels and Kikuchi. Total is set at 9. Interesting matchup just because like 2 free agent additions in the offseason that I don't know anyone really saw coming. It's the rubber game. San Francisco's 14-7 on the year. Angels 10-10. Angels won Friday 2-0. San Francisco Saturday 3-2. Question is, in this series, will the bats wake up today on getaway day? Looking at Verlander on the year, a 6.75 ERA in 4 starts, 7.90 though over the last 3. His K prop was set at 5.5. I actually went over on that at even money today. Initially went into my research, Will, thinking I was going to go under, but you look at the Angels, they're striking out a ton lately. 9 versus Roop yesterday, 12 versus Webb, 8 versus Rocker, who was not good before he faced the Angels. Corbin had 6 when he faced them, and that's Patrick Corbin, who gets lit up by everybody. So I actually ended up going over on Verlander's Ks here. On the other side for the Angels, Kikuchi, big deal for them in the offseason. I think they signed him to eventually trade him at some point this season. 0-3, a 4.13 ERA over 4 starts. He's coming off 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, and an earned run at Texas. 4-0 loss on Tuesday. Because he's kind of a soft-throwing lefty, I went after some of the splits when it comes to the Giants' bats, Will. I backed Matt Chapman over 1.5 total bases at plus 116. He hit 316 versus Southpaws this year, 307 last year. Helio Ramos over 1.5 total bases, plus 112. Good numbers against lefties in his career. And then Tyler Fitzgerald, a lefty masher in the infield, over 0.5 total base at minus 137. So, and I'm also on the Giants team total, over 4.5 at plus 105. All of a sudden you look up, Will, and I've got like 5 bets on one baseball game. If you were going to do anything with Giants Angels, would you do anything or join me on any of my million of bets?
I would take the Giants plus a half run in the first 5. You got to lay like $1.40. I've been doing these a lot more recently. I love winning when it's 2-2 after 5, and you can just kind of steal the win. We do that. We talk about that a lot in the NFL, college football, with that quarter betting, where you can take a 0.5 point in a quarter, bet under on a quarter. It's hard to win the first. Not that it's hard to win the first 5 innings, but that's so great. It's so key, winning on that tiebreaker, getting the half a run. I don't love what I've seen from Verlander. How could you? He has certainly seen better days, and you wonder, probably figured with the way this season's going, this is probably the last year for him.
Oh, yeah.
I was watching Charlie Morton earlier for the Orioles, who's been awful. It might be the last year for him. So it's a changing of the guard. Kershaw, Verlander, Scherzer, these guys are just on their way out. Legendary generational pitchers. But the Angels' offense has come back down to earth. Giants have been really impressive, and I'm starting to think they're for real. And bigger picture, if they are for real, and the Braves get off the mat at some point, which I think most of us expect they will to some extent, you're talking about 7 outstanding teams, or really good teams in the National League. Padres, Dodgers, Mets, Phillies, Braves, Giants, and then whoever wins the Central. You could be in a situation where it's 7 teams for 5 spots there. Meanwhile, in the American League, it's a whole lot of mediocrity. So it could be in a situation where 92, 93 wins might not even be enough to get you in the National League, which is crazy because it's such a top-heavy, such a loaded National League. But if anything, and I know the game just got underway, it would be Giants plus a half, man on first, 1 out. So
and that's Ramos. Ramos just helped me out. We got 1 base. 1 base on the day, single up the middle. He's the leadoff hitter. We should see him against Kikuchi again. We get another hit. We cash that plus 112. The Giants, by the way, Will, 30-1 to win the National League still feels like an interesting number because they can pitch, because of the ballpark. And, the offseason was kind of odd for them. The addition of Willie Adames at shortstop, people are like, hold on, that's just a weird addition for a team that has a ton of infielders. But the reality is, he's one of those players where I don't think what he does shows up on the box score. I think he's a great run producer. He's a guy that thrives in the clutch. He's been in a lot of big games between Milwaukee and Tampa Bay, plays a really good defensive shortstop. I just think he's a winning baseball player, and I think having Lee back, who's at the plate right now, the guy from Korea who got hurt early into his debut a year ago, he's been hitting the ball well. All of a sudden, they look a little bit different. Robbie Ray back off the injured list, missing last year with Tommy John. They're just a deeper, different-looking team than we saw a year ago. I don't know how long it goes on for, but they are the type of team that if they need to add a piece or two, they're not looking to add anything major. It's just a couple little guys here and there to help put them over the top. But honestly, that NL West is brutal. San Diego plays tonight, and I actually like them on the road in Houston against Framber Valdez. I think Dylan Cease is live at a plus price tonight. We'll get to that game in a little bit. But that NL West is brutal as the Dodgers right now letting me down, where I went over 4.5 team total against Tyler Mahle and the Rangers, and Mahle just continues to mow down Dodger hitters. Not something I anticipated this afternoon. So we'll keep you updated. All the baseball everywhere. A lot of games currently in action, but the big story is the NBA postseason. The playoffs are here. The Celtics currently up in the second quarter, 26-20 on the Orlando Magic. If you went to vsin.com/picks earlier today, become a pro. You could see all the picks from every single show across the board here on VSiN. You'd see I had a bunch of prop bets when it came to Celtic players, but more importantly, Will and I were aligned on the Magic team total under. I got under 95.5. Believe you got right around there. So we'll sweat that bet out together all afternoon long. But the biggest story of the day, a beatdown in OKC. We'll discuss when we return on Live Bet Sunday.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back at it on Live Bet Sunday. This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. He's Will Hill. I'm Dustin Swedelson, and we've got you all afternoon long. Some updates when it comes to sports right now. Dodgers and Rangers currently tied up at zeros in the sixth. So scoreless there, one in scoring position for Texas right now and two on. We'll update you if Dustin Harris is able to drive in a run and put the Rangers up on the board over the Dodgers. Yankees trying to close out the Tampa Bay Rays in the bottom of the ninth inning. It is 4-0 Yanks. Runner on first, nobody out, as Cruz still remains in the game for your Bronx Bombers, Will Hill. How do you feel about that decision of Cruz staying in?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think he only got the final out of the eighth. He's been incredible. So you leave him out there, and then you have the net of whoever you want to come in with the ninth, whether that's Weaver, whether that's Williams. My guess it would be Weaver. But you feel pretty good if you're the Yankees. But you're in this position yesterday, 4-run lead with a chance, 3 outs away to win the game, and they weren't able to, to get it home. But it looks like Cruz here now, man on first, walked the first guy. Now he's 2-2. So Yanks, after adding an insurance run from Wells, and I think the 4 runs here have all been scored by homers.
Okay, and we have to have a discussion about what's going on in Pittsburgh. It's the Guardians and the Pirates. And I know this is not a conversation a lot of people normally have here, but Cabrian Hayes just drove in a run to tie it up in the bottom of the ninth with 1 out. We're knotted up at 4s. 2 earned runs for closer. 3 earned runs. Emmanuel Clase has allowed 3 earned runs today. That dude is not right this year. Just absolutely rough start to the season. You have to wonder if they're going to have to remove him from the closer role at some point. He's got an 8.38 ERA now, but 3 earned runs against a light-hitting guy like Cabrian Hayes, who normally just hits well against southpaws. Man, that is a brutal way to blow a potential win on the road for the Guardians. And now all of a sudden, Pittsburgh could walk it off as Brian Reynolds hits one off of Clase, and they're unable to get an out. There's 2 runners on for the Pirates, so it'll be a single off the leg of Clase, 2 on, 1 out, and the Pirates have the winning run in scoring position. This is a bit of a meltdown for what was an elite Cleveland bullpen a year ago, Will.
Yeah, and speaking of meltdowns, hopefully the Yankees are not having another meltdown as Cruz with a 4-run lead walks not only the leadoff guy, but the first 2 guys. And now the tying run is on deck, so some flashbacks here for the Yankees, who have been in control throughout. Fried was great, carried a no-hitter into the 8th, and now with a 4-run lead, the walks are coming in. Tim Hill is warming up in the bullpen, so probably gets one more guy. My guess is with Hill warming up that lefties are in order, due up here after Meade, who's in the 5 hole. So Yanks are still in good shape, but a little bit of too familiar to yesterday if you're the Yankees here with this finish.
Can I interest you in an emotional hedge here, Will, of plus 950 on the Tampa Bay Rays in game? Nobody out, tying run on deck.
Need a little bit more.
Okay, we're getting close. Though.
Still down 4 runs.
12 to 1 now. That little ballpark.
12 to 1. That means something bad happened. That means something good happened for the Yanks. 12, that's a big swing. So it's either an out happened or it went to like an 0-2 count, and they're anticipating an out here.
Foul ball. So, yeah, it must be some sort of out.
0-2 count.
But
0-2 count.
Yeah, what I'd say is we're playing in a AAA ballpark with a short porch in right field where things could get dangerous. And, look, Tim Hill.
Sure.
Tim Hill had a good year a year ago. That is not a guy I trust, especially with a Tampa Bay team that potentially may have a guy or two off the bench that could hit a lefty. That's what I would anticipate there. All the starters are still in the game for the Rays as the 0-2 comes and they get a strikeout. So Cruz reaches back, throws the splitter, and on 3 pitches,
nasty.
Strikes. Dude, that's a great look. I am the first to crush Brian Cashman.
Yeah, me too. It was a good trade.
More because like the longevity that he's had and the lack of real like legitimate Yankee caliber success. But the truth is, trading a backup catcher in Trevino for a guy in Cruz with a really live arm who misses a lot of bats. Whereas I think Cincinnati looks at their bullpen, and I know he was hurt to start the year. I'm not so sure Fernando Cruz isn't a better closer than Alexis Diaz.
Yeah, I agree. Yep, I was saying that he could be, with Devin Williams struggling. I mean, you got Weaver who could close. This kid looks like a closer or a future closer. The problem with the Devin, when your closer's struggling, it's like a kicker. There's nowhere to hide him because, all right, people are like, oh, could you put him in the 8th inning? He's still going to have to get outs in the 8th inning, even if he's your setup guy. He can blow the game in the 7th, 8th inning just as much as the 9th. So it's very similar to kicker. And you mentioned Clase struggling. That started last postseason. Remember the Tigers got to him for a homer. The Yankees really roughed him up as ground ball was short for 1, 2, and the ball game is over. The Yankees win. Cruz fired up. Yankees win 4-0.
Want to be a part of it. The Yankees, where they win on the road in their own ballpark. It's a weird thing to say. On the road in their own spring training facility, the double play. Dare I say this Yankees group is actually likable. There's something about them. I actually think they're likable this year. We'll see if that plays out throughout the rest of the season. An update in the NBA, Will, where the Boston Celtics a year ago were not likable. We all trashed them. None of us believed in Joe Mazzulla. A lot of us thought Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown would never get there. Now I'm at a point with the Boston Celtics, Will, where I don't doubt them. I believe Joe Mazzulla is a mastermind. I believe Jason Tatum and Brown will show up when it matters. And right now they're up 10 at home to the Orlando Magic with 8 minutes to go. You and I are on that team total play where, full disclosure, it was a play that I heard you go on, I believe, a numbers game on Monday and bring up, and I went, hold on. That makes all the sense in the world. So maybe you can explain to the audience what you were looking at, why you ended up pulling the trigger on that bet.
So for anyone that's ever watched basketball, there's this thing called the hoop, the net, and there's this thing called the basketball, and the Magic have a hard time putting one in the other. They just can't shoot. And the Celtics have a lot of long athletic bodies to throw at Orlando, to throw it. Really, it's can you eliminate Banchero? Can you limit Banchero? Because after that, and they got Holiday, they got a lot of long athletes, Porzingis, they got a lot of guys they can double. After that, Orlando, they make 11 threes per game, worst in the league. They shoot 31% from 3, worst in the league. And Boston is home. They're rested. They're hungry. I think they, probably look. There's natural malaise when you win a title, especially your first title, get over the hump. There's just not going to be that hunger for the 82-game regular season. But this is the playoffs. They've had a week or so off. I mean, you could say they've had the whole season off. So I think there's some motivation here, and the matchup is just going to be hard for Orlando to score. So hopefully we get home. You worry with a big spread that the defensive intensity lessens, and then who knows what happens in the fourth quarter. If it's a 20-25 point game, you can get backdoored that way. So I did play a little first half too, and I actually got a bad number. I played 94.5 on Wednesday, And Tuesday or Wednesday, it's all the way. It went up to 96.5 before close, but we're at least in good shape so far.
Oh, yeah, and some context for what you just said. Magic were 27th in offensive rating. Celtics were 4th in defensive rating. Celtics come into the game with a nearly 20-point advantage from three. Orlando was 21st in three-point frequency, 23rd in three-point attempts per game, 30th in both three-point makes per game and shooting percentage. When you're down the way Orlando is going to be down, they're down 10 right now, you have to be able to hit threes. You have to be able to make shots beyond the arc, trade some threes for twos. They're just not good enough to do that. They can't play from behind. They're not built like that. So that's why I tailed you on that play, and I went under as well. By the way, did you know that we've got a cool little thing going on here at VSiN where the VSiN Killer Sports NBA Playoff Challenge is currently going on? What we've done is we've invited 15 sharp minds from the world of VSiN and Killer Sports to go head-to-head. These people are making 38 picks from the start of the playoffs all the way through the finals. That's 570 NBA playoff picks, and they're all available to any VSiN Pro subscribers. The picks are loaded in 1 hour before the first game each day, so you'll have insights to guide your bets every step of the postseason. And right now, you can get full VSiN Pro access through August 1st for just $59. Don't miss this playoff edge. Head to VSiN.com/subscribe to sign up today. He's Will Hill. I'm Dustin Swedelson. And light the lamp in Carolina. The Hurricanes have just extended their lead to the visiting Devils 2-0. That with 13 minutes to go in the second period. So Carolina jumps out to a 2-0 lead on the visiting Devils. Total was 5.5 pregame. We're back at 5.5 now. However, that under is juiced heavily at -175. Market anticipates Carolina now with a 2-goal lead being more defensive-minded here. Update in Pittsburgh, the Cleveland Guardians did play a run in extra innings. They're up 5-4. We'll get the Pirates at bat in the 10th here after they knocked around Emmanuel Clase and scored 3 runs on him in the bottom of the 9th to tie things up and send that game to extras. That's where we stand with that. However, I do want to note one thing, Will. It's 420. So happy 420 to those who celebrate. And the reason I bring that up, the basketball game that happened earlier today was high and out of its freaking mind. The Oklahoma City Thunder beat down on the Memphis Grizzlies, 131-80. The game goes under the 231.5. Thunder cover the 13, and we have to dissect what went on because it was as big of a... No, we do, because it was as big of a no-show as you're ever going to see from a team in the postseason with the Memphis Grizzlies. It looked like they were ready for their season to end, and the Thunder just kind of casually strolled through and won the game by 50. So that's where we stand with that game. We'll look at that game and the rest of the NBA slate when we return on Live Bet Sunday.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Dustin Swedelson, Will Hill with you here on Live Bet Sunday, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Thanks for making us a part of your day, however you may be watching or listening. The VSiN Watch app, YouTube TV, Sirius XM channel 158. We do have a developing situation that has come to our attention during that last break. In Baltimore right now, the Cincinnati Reds are up on the Orioles, 20-2. The Reds have 23 hits, and we're in the top of the 9th inning. Looking at this box score, it's insane. Cincinnati scored 1 in the second, 7 in the third, 2 in the fourth, 2 in the fifth, 3 in the 7th, and 5 in the 8th inning, and they're currently batting in the 9th with 1 out. Marte with a homer for Cincinnati, his first of the year. Elly De La Cruz with his 5th ding-dong of the season. By the way, he's still 18-1 in the MVP market in the National League. Still think that's worth a flyer if something happens with Ohtani. But the Cincinnati Reds absolutely putting it on the Orioles on the road. Former Oriole outfielder Austin Hayes, 4 for 6 with 4 runs scored in this game. Gavin Lux has scored 4 runs, 2 hits in 3 at-bats. And Spencer Steer is 2 for 6 with an RBI and 2 runs. This is an absurd box score that I have not seen anything like this in quite a while from a team, Will.
Yeah, well, if you parlayed Memphis, OKC minus 49.5 with the Reds minus 17.5, you know what? And you put $100 on that, pick up your Ferrari somewhere because, boy, some wild scores today, and this was one of them. And the bigger issue, this Oriole pitching. I mean, you can't kill them too much. This is a team we all thought a couple years ago they were in line for, I don't say a dynasty, but a hell of a run. Young players, they were bad for so many years, and it looked like they had their stuff together. And some of it's their fault, some of it's not. Their pitching's all hurt. They lose Burns in free agency, which might be a blessing in disguise. He hasn't pitched great. Grayson Rodriguez hurt, always hurt. I'll just go down the line. They've got a million pitching injuries. It's Orlando continues to bury in threes and hang around here, which is really going to make this a sweat here. 45-44. Orlando takes the lead with a minute change left in the half. So this was an 8-point lead for the Celtics not that long ago. Orlando's gotten hot. Powell's hit a bunch of threes, and Caldwell Pope puts them ahead. Baltimore just has no pitching. Their pitching's all hurt, and I know the American League's watered down, but it's just hard to be a contender when your pitching's that bad. Charlie Morton has had a really good career after a slow start in Pittsburgh for a bunch of years, but it looks like it's over for him. He's been awful. He got hit hard again today. So, really concerning pitching here for the Orioles.
Yeah, you mentioned they lost a couple guys last year to TJ, right? Kyle Bradish, Tyler Wells, the guy they traded for, Trevor Rogers from the Marlins, who they completely overpaid for with prospects. He's been hurt this year. Eflin's on the IL. Grayson Rodriguez is supposed to be the ace. He's on the IL. So you look at the box score today, Morton, 2 1/3, 7 hits, 7 earned, 4 walks for Charlie Morton, who's like 40 years old at this point. However, you look at the bottom of this box score, Will, Jorge Mateo and Gary Sanchez have each pitched for the Orioles today. Not optimal when an infielder and the backup catcher are getting innings on the bump. So that explains some of the scoring, but not all of the scoring because they've only pitched in the last couple innings, and a lot of this damage came very early in the game for the Cincinnati Reds. Magic actually lead the Celtics right now. What kind of number is the market has Celtics minus 5.5? 4.5? Will, are we going to be kicking ourselves if we don't bet this right now?
Yeah, it'd be Celtics or nothing. I don't want to make it worse here because I do have a pretty decent sized bet on Orlando, which I was feeling pretty good about, 5 minutes ago, but they've gotten hot. They've hit some threes and they are right back. Not just in the mix, but this live total is on pace to go over, and they're giving Boston a hard time. They've typically played Boston very tough as they get the roll on another shot, and it is now 49-46 in the final minute here. Orlando with a lead. Yeah, they've played Boston tough in past years. I think they're 6-4 against them in the last 3 years. A bunch of double-digit wins. They have a lot of size, a lot of length, a lot of defense. I just didn't think they'd score enough, and I still don't think they'll score enough to be competitive in this series. But this has been a tricky matchup for the Celtics in the past.
Yeah, but that number feels a little bit low. Boston second half at home. You have to figure they don't have a lot of weapons right now offensively, Orlando. I don't know if they can keep up what they're doing right now, and especially in that third quarter, right, where you're going to see more of the bench guys in there, where a guy like Peyton Pritchard can still be one of the better scorers on the floor, but the third option for the Celtics, whereas like Orlando's going to throw out some of their second unit, and I have to imagine that's where Boston can separate themselves a little bit here. It's down to 4.5 total in game, 196 and a hook, minus 250 on Boston on the money line. That actually feels like a bit of a value.
Don't disagree. I think you're right.
All right, but earlier today there was no value if you wanted to back Memphis. Memphis, Oklahoma City, the Thunder could have given the 20 runs the Reds scored today to the Grizzlies and still won by 31, still covered 13. That game went under 231.5. Looking at that game, Will, it was just absolutely insane the way the Oklahoma City defense showed up, as we expected them to, but Memphis held to 6 of 34 from 3, 34% from the floor. They out-rebounded them 54-43. Epic beatdown. Series is over. Grizzlies don't have a chance. But it just goes to show this play-in tournament, I know the idea of it makes a lot of sense. It's just some of these, and Memphis had a good record-wise season, but some of these teams in the postseason, the disparity between the 1 seed and an 8, 9, 10 seed, it is so great. And I think it showed today with the way the Grizzlies looked on the road at OKC.
Yeah, I actually think Memphis is better than a typical 8 seed.
Yeah,
Memphis is not that bad. My thing, if we're talking like big picture rules, they're never going to go back to it. But there was a time, and it was the best, when there was a best of 5 in the first round. It was so much better. The bad series would get over. They were quick. They were done in 4 or 5 days. They just play. All right, you're done. And it added a little drama, a little suspense, because no matter how good you are, best of 5 is just enough where not many upsets happened, but you're scared if you're the top team. Hey, if we lose one at home, now all of a sudden we're in trouble early. It added drama. It made it fun. It was efficient. I wish they would go back to it. They never will, but it was so much better. It was so much more exciting, and it's never going to happen.
Well, that's a good call, because if the road team wins game 1, all of a sudden, hold on, like everything shortens up. The adjustments are very different. They all of a sudden are a little bit live there in that spot to pull off an upset. But yeah, Memphis was good. I should take back what I said there. Memphis was a good team, but I think it's the fact that they lost the game. They had to win another game in a short amount of time, take on a rested Oklahoma City team. And I understand the 1 seed should have an advantage, but the reality is there was no way for the Grizzlies to show up and look good in the road in that spot. And I just think it's a team with the way things went down with Taylor Jenkins at the end of the year. They fire him. They turn the franchise over to Ja Morant. I don't know my level of trust of the Grizzlies to make this series interesting at all, but maybe I should be giving Oklahoma City a little bit more credit. Do you think that's fair?
Do you think Taylor Jenkins is sitting somewhere with a frosty beverage, just kind of chuckling to himself, saying, all right, yeah, I was the problem, right? Sure.
Oh, I think Taylor Jenkins, if he wants a job this year, he's going to be unemployed for as soon as like the openings start interviewing. As soon as these teams start interviewing people, Taylor Jenkins can have a job. He's a good coach. I don't know if he's a great coach. Michael Malone's out there too. But I think Taylor Jenkins, if he really wants a job, he can have a job this cycle. I mean, that's the thing is when you look at why he was fired because Ja Morant didn't like the way he was being rested. He didn't like the way he was being used in the offense. And now they're going to cater everything to what Ja Morant was, which is kind of emblematic of what's wrong with the NBA right now. The entire league runs based on what the superstars want to happen, and the Grizzlies are doing that within their own franchise.
What number would you need to take Memphis for game 2?
I think I need like 17. I would need 17.
Did you see the opener?
What is
or at least what the line is now?
No,
we're at 15.
We're at 15? All right, we're not there yet. I am not there yet.
It's one of those where you feel dumb no matter what. Like, oh my God, I have to take OKC, but then there's it just is a better, all right, they're going to come out and play harder. They can't be that bad. They're going to be motivate, all those things. You're getting value because nobody wants to bet them.
Sure.
I would say if you're going to, for whatever reason, you say, hey, I'm going to bet Memphis in game 2, which I'm not advising, just wait as long as possible. I would imagine this continues to drift. Maybe closes 16. Could you get to 17? Probably not, but I don't know. I want no part of Memphis, though.
No, but if you want some action on the ponies, First Bet has you covered. Sign up now to access exclusive promotions and bet on hundreds of thrilling horse races every day right from your phone or computer. Visit firstbet.com. That's the number 1, stbet.com. Use promo code VEASAN200 to score a 20% rebate on all your wagers for the first 60 days, up to $200. Don't miss out. Start betting today at firstbet.com. If I was going to look at anything from a bounce-back opportunity in Game 2 with the Grizzlies and Thunder, I would target Jaren Jackson Jr. because he couldn't possibly be worse than he was today. The motivation angle I like, over 19.5 points. That is interesting. Maybe the rebounds, though, over 5.5 boards. That might be the way I play it there because you'll get extra effort from him. He did nothing today in Game 1. I think that's a guy I would target from a player prop perspective in Game 2 between the Thunder and the Grizzlies. All right, another goal scored in Carolina. Just like that, the Canes up 3-0 on the Devils. We'll preview the rest of the hockey action. We'll look at Major League Baseball. But the NBA, Orlando and Celtics, what happens at the end of the first half? Stick around. Live Bet Sunday.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We're cruising on here on Live Bet Sunday, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. I'm Dustin Swedelson. That's Will Hill at Not The Will Hill over on X. Should Have Bet More is his podcast. And we've got you covered here all afternoon long on the Sports Betting Network. Baseball happening all over the place. I am getting annihilated today, but player props, they could always come back. We could always come back here. Just a few more at-bats left in these games. It's never good, Will, when you look up and you bet a couple player props in a game in Colorado, and the two players you bet on are a combined 0 for 6 on the afternoon. Feels like when you play up there Mile High, you're hoping one of them can go off and do something, but that's where we stand. By the way, Nats on the road lead the Rockies 3-2 in game 1 of a doubleheader. Sunday night baseball yet to start, but outside of that, those are the only 2 games that are yet to come this afternoon when it comes to a Major League Baseball perspective. Right now in the 3rd inning in Anaheim, Giants and Angels scoreless in the 3rd, 1 out now as the Giants, Verlander gets a pop out to right field. We've got a bunch of player props there. All of them were available, vsin.com/picks earlier this afternoon. And in the NHL, the Carolina Hurricanes just extended their lead in game 1 of this playoff series with the Devils. They're up 3-0, currently laying 3.5, minus 105, and minus a lot of zeros. I can't do the math in my head. I think they're minus 100,000 on the money line right now. Are the Carolina Hurricanes up 3-0 in the second period with 3 minutes to go there. But the big game going on right now is the Magic and the Celtics. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference postseason. At the break, Orlando has a 1-point lead on the road, Will. 49-48 your score, second half line. Celtics laying 8.5. Your second half total is 99.5. My general vibe, Will, we're going to be really annoyed at the end of this game when we look up and Boston easily covers this shorter number than it was when it closed at 13 or 12.5. What say you about that second half line?
By the way, that hockey game that's 3-0, minus 100,000. You were right. So you have to risk $100,000 to win 100, and then the comeback is 40-1. That's a nice little straddle they got there.
Yeah.
I feel like Boston's fine. I feel like the rally. I was just going to look at the Magic money line just as out of curiosity. Plus 340 would need way more than that. I think Boston will be okay, but it is a little concerning, a little bit alarming that you've had all this time off. You've all this time to rest, to prep. You're the defending champs. All right, the real season starts now. And you look up and you're down 1. Now, like I said, Orlando's given them trouble in the past. And Orlando, for all of their deficiencies on offense, they're really good defensively. They make life hard on you with all of their size, their length, their defensive prowess. But I think Boston will be okay. What's the angle here? We already have Magic team total under, which – the first half under for the team total pushed or lost depending on what number you got. Some were 48.5, some were 49. So, those numbers matter. Half point matters. To shop around. What's the play? Are you looking to just lay it and keep it simple here with the Celtics?
Yeah, I would just lay it. I would lay the second half number, right? Because it's all the same. Minus 7.5 on the game, minus 8.5 in the second half. They're down 1. I just think the Celtics are the play. They're at home. I think they'll get downhill. And when you look at what the Magic have done, like a good offensive start for them, shooting 39% from 3, that's really not their norm here on the road. And most of it's coming because Boncaro has 19, Wagner has 15, but they don't have the depth. They don't have enough guys who can go get buckets when it matters. And for Boston, Tatum only has 6 points. So Tatum's going to get his. He's going to find a way to score here. I think once Tatum gets going, he carries them in the second half. I imagine Porzingis gets a little bit more than 4 points in the second half. Because of that, I think some positive regression when it comes to the Boston Celtics where they'll get some more points. They're shooting 44% from 3. So we just need some more 2s, some more normal shots here for them because they're the better offensive team. Orlando cannot hang shot for shot. I'll lay the number with Boston in game. We'll go minus 8.5 on that second half number. We'll make it easy. We'll go 7.5 in game. It's just easier to do the math down the stretch.
Yes.
7.5 in game on the Boston Celtics here because, look, I bet Jason Tatum to lead this series in scoring at plus 125. Part of that involves him getting some in game 1. I guess my question is, do you expect if the Magic pull off this upset, do you expect a massive market reaction in the number of the series price if Orlando goes up 1-0?
No.
Yeah.
No, it would take more than one game. I mean, it's got to adjust because you get one, but not really. I mean, there's obviously going to be an adjustment, some adjustment, but what do you consider a massive adjustment?
I don't even know they were such big dogs, Orlando, coming into this.
What were they, 14, 15-1?
Yeah, that's 16.
I mean, you definitely chop that in half, I would think, right? Because you won a game, you stole home court. The market thought they were a coin toss to maybe win one game the whole series, so you definitely adjust it. So just depends what you consider massive. I mean, it wouldn't come to the point where, all right, Orlando wins this game, I'm looking to bet them for the series. But yeah, you probably cut that in half at least.
Yeah, no. If Steve Fezzik, if you're listening to myself and Will, as you tend to do on Sundays, let us know what you think that number would be. Because, by the way, if you get a shorter price than the Celtics, I know someone like Fez would lay that price, by the way, whatever it is. Because then it's, just value on a team that is the most talented in the NBA right now. Do you have any, you didn't look at any props in this game. I know you had a prop earlier. I want to touch on the angle in Oklahoma City and Memphis, an update on where I stand on the props that I had up over at vsin.com/picks. First one was Jaylen Brown under 4.5 assists at +120. He has 1 assist in the first half, so we're pacing well there. Jason Tatum over 8.5 rebounds. He has 5 in the first half. I like the pace there. And Drew Holiday over 4.5 rebounds. He has 2 in the first half. We're going to need him to pick it up there. So 2 out of the 3 props look pretty good to me in the first half. But I want to go back to an angle you had in the Thunder Grizzlies game when it comes to player props, because I think when people get into the player prop market, some old school bettors are a little bit hesitant to get into it because it's, you have to look for the right angles. You have to look at things that aren't necessarily on a box score. You can't just go game log and say, well, this player did this the last 2 or 3 times they faced this team. You kind of have to get into game flow, psyche, situations. And when it came to the Thunder and the Grizzlies, where OKC won 131-80, you saw a guy in Memphis that was worth an under today. Explain why.
Yeah, in all these years I've been on VSiN, I've probably given out less than 5, maybe less than 3 same game parlays. It's just not my thing. It's not really, my style. But during the playoffs, when you can really hone in on a matchup and you have a really conviction, if you have conviction on a certain player, a certain matchup, I think there's some meat on the bone because there's a seesaw effect. If this guy's not going to play, that guy is. Anyway, the one I gave out this morning on VSiN, I thought Scottie Pippen unders were great because my whole angle is he's probably going to be guarding SGA, and he's a very aggressive defender, has a habit of fouling, and SGA is a foul-drawing machine. So maybe he gets in foul trouble, maybe he fouls out, he rides the bench, and then you can get his points, rebounds, assists, all of that stuff all of a sudden is correlated because he's in foul trouble. He ended up with 2 points. His over-under was 10.5. The assist was close at 4.5. He went under 4, and then rebounds was 3.5, and he got stuck with 2. And he committed 5 fouls, and I was sitting there screaming at the TV, "Get him out of the game! Get him out!" They left him in a 50-point game when they left all the other starters in, but he does get the he does stay under. So if you tail that SGP, it cashed for you. And I think going forward, if you're going to have him guard SGA, he's going to be in a situation where don't be surprised if he picks up 2 fouls in the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game because he's very handsy, he's very aggressive, and SGA is a master at using that stuff against you as a defender. And you know what? You get pinned to the bench with early foul trouble, it's hard to go over these numbers. Yeah, and more importantly, he's going to be run ragged on one end of the floor. So I don't know what he's going to contribute offensively. That's one angle I do like to look at. When one player is given the assignment of slowing down the stud on the other team, and basically no one's thinking about what they contribute offensively, look to go under on them. That is absolutely an angle. I also think a lot of these role guys, their unders are in play. I prefer to look at the combo unders, points, rebounds, and assists, just in case one of those stats, they end up having a good game. I think across the board, it's a lot harder for these guys who see limited minutes. These benches shorten up a ton in the playoffs. I think that's where you look at the unders, those role players on their combined points, rebounds, and assists. Whether you're at home, on the road, on the go, there's more ways than ever to tune in to VSiN. You can stream us live at vsin.com, the VSiN Watch app, YouTube TV, iHeartRadio, Fire TV, Roku, or SiriusXM channel 158. Take VSiN wherever you are. We've got you covered. Any device, any outlet, any method, you can stay locked into VSiN and get great betting insight. That's Will Hill. I'm Dustin Swedelson. This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Second half is underway, and the Celtics take a lead once again early on, 50-49. We'll take you through all the action there in the second half of Game 1 between the Magic and the Celtics. But, of course, we still have games to preview. A couple games yet to come in the association. Heat and the Cavaliers. Is Miami a dangerous team right now? Can Eric Spoelstra pull off a miracle?
I don't think so, but we'll discuss it. Warriors and Rockets, though, that's the big one where I have a player prop I absolutely love. We'll discuss all that and more. Second hour of Live Bet Sunday coming your way next. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.